ESPN. And now back to today's Seniors Living Well with your host, Laurie Webb.
Hi everyone, welcome back to today's Seniors Living Well. Make 2013 your lucky year. And we're covering a lot of interesting topics that some people might not associate with luck. Like we just had a nice conversation with Dan Riordan from hospice. And some people would say, well, hospice, that's not very lucky. But we are lucky to have that great hospice. And we're also very lucky in Amador County to have a lot of really wonderful local providers of things, complicated things like insurance. And joining me today again is Anne Lintz. Anne, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we were chatting before airtime, I guess that's what we call it, airtime, about all the things that can go on with insurance and annuities and the scams that are out there. But I wondered if you could talk a little bit. I know we have people calling the Senior Center because we're famous for information and saying, you know, my husband just died and I don't know what to do. He has 2 life insurance policies and I can't understand them. So when someone dies, what's the kind of process that that the spouse needs to go through?
Well, and it depends to some degree on who the life insurance is with. It's always really nice to have a local person to handle it, to where you can actually walk in and have them help you. I know with our company, with State Farm, when somebody passes away and they have a life insurance policy, we always try to meet with the survivors as quickly as possible and just go through the options that they have on getting the money and where they can put it and things like that. But also just taking them through the steps. In general, life insurance, getting the proceeds from the life insurance policy isn't that complicated. Most of the time you need to have a death certificate, and in general, you should be able to, most policies have been enforced for a number of years, so they're not in a contestable period or anything like that where there'd be questions about the death and things like that.
Oh, okay.
So in general,
it's not that I got this life insurance policy on my husband yesterday and he died. And,
that's a tricky one.
Yeah.
It's a little tricky there. But after 2 years, all life insurance or most life insurance policies are not contestable. Okay. Meaning that all they need to know is that the person actually is dead, and that the person who's getting the money didn't by chance kill them.
Well,
those little things.
Yeah, a little detail there.
Yes. So if you have a local agent, they should be absolutely willing to just help you, walk you through the process. And then if you don't have a local agent, then friends and family members, if it's too complicated for you, certainly should be able to help you. All life insurance companies have a phone number that you can call and start the process. They usually send you paperwork that then you need to fill out and turn in order to get your money. And you should get the money fairly quickly. I mean, I know with State Farm, you're going to get the money probably within a week or 2.
Wow.
But other companies, it can be different.
Right.
And anytime you're dealing with funeral homes and things like that, they can take future proceeds from life insurance, knowing that it isn't necessarily going to come immediately, so they can do assignments to where the funeral costs can be paid for, even though you don't maybe have the money yet.
That's if you haven't gone ahead and already set up a funeral policy.
Right.
A funeral arrangements, which we're going to be talking about with Regina in the next section. So let's suppose that someone was retired up here from the Bay Area, so they don't have a local agent, but they have a State Farm policy. So then you become their local agent, right?
They can do that. They can transfer. Some people have very close relationships with their agents in the Bay Area, and they really want to maintain that relationship, and that's fine. They can also transfer their policies to the local State Farm offices. And as far as that goes, the prices are always going to remain the same. We have no differentials in pricing.
Not like auto insurance?
Even in auto insurance, the prices are the same because it's all just based on where you live. It's not based on who your agent is. So that has nothing to do with it. But it is nice to be able to walk in and be able to go over your insurance. And I always encourage people. I have a lot of people who transfer to me after their agent retires in the Bay Area and whatnot. And we often find that they haven't reviewed their insurance for a very long time. And, often there's some holes in their coverage and things that maybe they haven't thought about that they really need to review.
So in keeping with our proactive theme, how often should somebody, I know that we sit down with our insurance agent and review our homeowner's insurance every year because of all the changes in the fire stuff and all that. How often would you recommend people review their different kinds of insurance?
I think that it depends on the person, but I like to review people's insurance every year or two. I think it's a really good idea to do that. A lot of people don't find insurance very exciting. I'm not sure why, but...
No, it's not very exciting until you need it, and then it becomes very exciting.
It does. It's amazing how you can read a policy after you suddenly realize that you're using it.
Have something stolen from your house.
I know, yeah. And that's helpful. I think a lot of people really like to be able to sit face to face with their agent and say, okay, so explain this to me. Why is this not covered, or why is this covered? And have that interaction. And I think it is so important to review your coverages before you use them, because it's not a very sexy thing. It's not fun to buy. I didn't aspire as a child to be an insurance agent, but it is very important, and it's extremely impactful in people's lives.
And you've turned into such a great one.
Yeah.
Such a good part of our community. I have to give a little shout out to, we're not supposed to do commercials, but one thing I love about State Farm is that you call and you get to talk to a real person. And we have, not always, people don't always have that experience. It's, hello, welcome to Williams and Penn, and press 1 if you want to buy a policy.
Right.
And that doesn't happen. It's always
we
a
always
nice
answer
voice
the phone.
on that phone. So there's, we were talking a little too about annuities, which always seems to come up around the whole life insurance. And a spouse will pass away, like when my mom passed away, she had an annuity with the company, and I didn't know anything about it. So is that something you can help people with too?
Absolutely. And annuities can be every annuity is different. There's no hard and fast rule. It's how it was written when it was first written as to whether there's going to be a beneficiary, whether there's, survivorship rights for a spouse, things like that. So, but a lot of annuities have beneficiaries, meaning that somebody is going to get the money after the person passes away. So it's important to understand those options, and before you buy an annuity, it's really important to understand them and to really read the literature and maybe get a second opinion, because I do see some that are not very helpful or not very good for the person buying it.
Yeah.
And so there are very good annuities out there that are one of the local attorneys calls me a lot when she sees clients with annuities and asks me to look at them, and some of them I say, oh, I'm very concerned about this one. But we had one the other day, and I was like, no, this is actually a good one. I think that the agent was doing a good job. So there's good ones and there's bad ones.
Right. And again, if you're going to purchase an annuity, you should go to a local person that you can sit face to face with, who isn't up at a podium with 50 people being served a free lunch.
I can't emphasize the free lunch thing enough. It's like there's a reason they're giving you a free lunch, and that, and if it sounds too good to be true, they promise you 8%. And I've gone through it with very intelligent clients, but they promise me 8%. Yes, but can we read where it says, and let me explain what they meant and how they got that number, but it isn't real. It's not what you think. It's what,
Right.
So they manipulate things to where it sounds really good, but...
And it's kind of a borderline between maybe being a scam and just being a very clever business deal sometimes. But there are some scams going on out there.
There's definitely, whether they're scams or whether they're just legal, they're legal in general. Some of them are maybe not as ethical as I would like. And sometimes people are convinced to cancel very high quality things to put them into these, which always bothers me. I had a client not too long ago be encouraged to cancel a very high-quality life insurance policy and put it into the annuity. And luckily, we unwound the whole thing because it wasn't at all to their advantage. And
again, having somebody local that you can go talk to, that's really, really important.
Yeah, it is.
We had a fraud awareness workshop, and there were some folks from the Department of Insurance that came up, and they were talking a little about annuities, and you know, they're frustrated too because there's just not enough time to prosecute some of the perpetrators of these things, and that's really sad. There's also been some. Now, do you handle Medicare supplements?
We do.
Okay. Because recently there's been a little spate of people calling me and saying, somebody from Medicare called me and they said something about that I need to do something about my supplement right away, and usually we send them to HICAP to talk to the HICAP counselor.
Medicare doesn't call you.
No, Medicare does not call you.
No, they do not.
So we can, if you have a client who has a life or whom you helped purchase their Medicare supplement for, they can go to you. They can call you and
absolutely. And we're always happy to sit down with people. That's a very confusing. It's funny because you turn 65 and you start to get older, and then we throw the most confusing situation to you say, okay, now you have to have like 3 or 4 different health insurance policies with the government. One's with the government, one's with another company, and one's with another company. Oh, and then there's all these other things you can do.
Right.
So it's very confusing.
Yeah, it is confusing.
But the coverage in general gets much better and less expensive. So there are some positives to it.
Yeah.
But it is confusing.
Annie, we have to go. How can people get a hold of you?
We're right next to Mel's on the highway, right here in Jackson. And then you can call me at 223-1631.
223-1361.
1631.
1631. 223-1631. We'll do that at the end of the show if you're going to stick around. All right, we're going to go and have one final conversation, and I'm picking that word on purpose.